The Mayor and Council meeting of the City of Carrollton is now in session. I'd like to welcome all of you. I'm glad to see you here. I hope you've all enjoyed this beautiful spring day. I think the weather's just teasing us, and I don't know about the prediction on the groundhog. I heard conflicting predictions. But anyway, if you will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing, and we are so happy to have Dr. Steve Davis, pastor of the First Baptist Church here in Carrollton, who's going to lead us in our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Dr. Davis. This time we'll have our citizens' comments. If you've signed in on the sheet there, we invite you to make your comments, and remember there's a 3-minute time limit on those comments. So I don't have the list, but whoever's first on the list, you may make your comments at this time. Absolutely, Miss Sue. Okay. No doubt in my mind, Miss Sue. Miss Sue, thank you for your comments. It's not always that we get positive comments, but we do appreciate it. Okay. Next on the list. Jim, can you just get the list and we'll call them out? No, I just need the ones who wish to speak. Is that, oh, you can call it. It's right there on the table, is it not?
That's the agenda.
Oh, okay.
We're just passing around just the attendance registration.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Is anyone else at this time would like to make a comment? Okay. Hearing none, you have the minutes of the January 6, 2019 regular meeting and the January 16th, 2020 work session. Do I have a motion to adopt these?
I make a motion that we adopt the minutes from the previous meeting.
Okay. Okay. Is there any discussion or corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Mayor and council announcements, comments? Bob? No? Brett?
Good evening, everybody. I'd just like to say what a pleasure it's been for me as one of the newest council members to work with a group of people like we have elected at this time. Councilman Waters has been a good resource for me, and Betty, with all her experience, has been a great resource. And I've known Bob for years and years and years from hanging out at the mansion back in the day. But it's been a real pleasure to work with Bob as well. And I just wanted to say that. And also, I've had reason to call on city staff for a number of years being in the construction business, and I'll have to say that every time that I have ever needed them for anything, they've always been very prompt at taking care of whatever issues that we had at the time, and I appreciate that very much as well.
Okay. Jim, you're good? Well, I'll just second what Brett has said. This whole transition has just been awesome. We could not have asked for anybody to work with us more in helping us get acclimated, and it has just been, I hate to say this, it's been fun. I don't hate to say it because it really has, but it just shows the caliber of people that we have in our city. And last week I got to ride around with the fire chief, and we went and visited the fire stations, and that was really interesting. We have one that we're going to put at the top of the list for replacement, and just the whole staff, the rec department, water and sewer, streets. And I would ask that you remember Mike Green. His father passed away last week. He's our department head for street and sanitation. But building inspectors, it's just accounting. And I will say this, we got to move our whole financial department up to the 3rd floor, and I think they're enjoying being able to not breathe each other's processed air with a little more space. And I appreciate Tim and the maintenance crew that did that. So thank you all. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda items for consideration?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda items for consideration.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carried. We're very fortunate to have Dr. Mark Albertus here with us tonight, and we look forward to what he has to say about the city schools and the county schools. And Dr. Albertus, every day I get to go visit your schools, and y'all do an outstanding job, and we appreciate having the leadership that we have there in our school system and the teachers. It's great.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate that. We have a good team, and we have two good educational systems we're blessed with here in West Georgia. Thank you, Mayor and City Council, for having me here tonight. We had to split. Split up tonight. Mr. Cowart is speaking at another function tonight on the same topic. But if you don't mind, if I can approach you guys and pass this out. Let's see how far these go. Well, again, thank you for having me here. Mr. Cowart, the superintendent for Carroll County Schools, and I have kind of been on the circuit with civic clubs and different meetings and different gatherings talking about SPLOST, eSPLOST. We are going to the voters on the 24th of March to continue our SPLOST that's been in place since 1997. What I just passed out to you, it's a one-pager for both school systems, and it kind of takes us through what our SPLOST monies and collection have done for this community, both at the Carroll County Carroll County School District, and then also the Carrollton City School District. Over the last 20 years, our community has grown, and our SPLOST tax has really helped us keep up with the growth in the school systems, and it's also helped us replace a lot of facilities that had many, many years on them. And you know, just to make the point that, again, this is not a new tax. This is a consumption tax, a continuation of our education SPLOST, and it's a consumption tax. And we've done the study on the last 20 years, and right around 31% of annual tax collections with our eSPLOST come from those who live outside the Carroll County area. So they come in and they work, or they come to shop, or to come to restaurants or whatnot. So it's one of those things that even folks that are living outside that come in and enjoy Carroll County, they add to our SPLOST collection and add to our community. If you look at the Golden Black side, the Carrollton side, one of the things that we'll do with this future SPLOST is about 75% of it will go toward paying off our bonds. We're aggressively paying off our bonds that we used to build the new high school, the replacement high school. We'll also be, if you look down there at the projects, we'll also be upgrading the HVAC system for our elementary school. It's much needed. We're still working off, most of the system is still the original system, which we've gotten great use out of. It's about 35 years old. And then just to remind everybody that SPLOST also can be used for technology, and both school systems have great technology, whether it be laptops, tablets, projectors, any smart boards, any of that any of the SPLOST, or that can be used for the SPLOST, and it's something that is in place now that wasn't in place when most of us were going through school, and it's an overhead cost that we have to continue to keep up with, because technology is always changing and there's upkeep to it, and we have to replace it as we go forward. So we're very transparent with it, both school systems. You know, we have a SPLOST list that we will stick to and what we will use the money for as we go forward, and we're committed to that. If you turn it around for the Carroll County side, you see there their great performing arts center that has been used by not only their school system but by the community at large. That is something that they've built with the SPLOST. And then our career academies in our county school system have been a huge success. And you can look there, there's many projects that they look to complete in the different schools and the clusters throughout the county. And you can see there's a lot of additions, a lot of classrooms. One thing that Mr. Cowart and their school board is very proud of is that through the SPLOST collections, they've been able to build enough classrooms to keep up with the growth, where there is no longer any trailers that kids are being taught in the county, and likewise in the city. So that has been a great thing that the SPLOST has done for our kids in this community. So I just want to partner with you guys. I know our SPLOSTs are very important to our community. I just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that we were going to the voters on the 24th of March. Would love your guys' support and endorsement of it. And if you guys have any questions now or in the future, just please give myself or Mr. Cowart a call. Is there any questions or anything?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Has the city and the county SPLOST or eSPLOST always come at the same time, been on the same schedule?
As far as the school systems?
Well, I just noticed they're both on the same day. Has that always been the case? March looks like we're voting for the county and the city. On this, I thought it was on different schedules.
You're talking about the city SPLOST, the municipality?
No,
You're talking about the school systems?
yeah. So it's all. Maybe
Yes,
I'm
sir.
just confused. It's always been the same.
So we
Same day.
split the SPLOST. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. We split the SPLOST between 3 school systems. So it's Carroll County, which has the largest population of students, and then Carrollton City Schools, and then Bremen City Schools. Bremen City just has a small slice of area that's in Carroll County. It's right above I-20, like where Pizza Hut and Subway is. There's about 50 students, they say, that live on that street right there. So we do it by a percentage, and it's by FTE, which is basically student count. So Carroll County gets the larger portion of it, and then Carrollton City, and then Bremen City gets a small percentage. Bremen gets a large chunk of the Haralson County SPLOST. So we do it together each time we go to the voters, if that was your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was just confused. It is county-wide, as Chuck just mentioned. Is it a 5-year?
5-year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it expires.
So we're going early. We're going early to the voters. It expires in 2.5 years.
Okay.
But we're going early because we want it to continue without interruption, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it also allows you to project further down the road what your needs are and go ahead and make preparation for those needs if they go in early. It's not just simply going in early for no reason.
Yes,
So.
sir.
Dr. Albertus, do you need just a, I'm sorry, does anybody else have a question? Okay. Do you need just our verbal support, or do you need something else from us?
No, I wanted to make sure that you guys were understood and had any questions, but your endorsement and support would go a long way for us.
Okay. Well, for those who have not been to the new high school renovation and addition, I encourage you to do that. And I'll just brag on the school system a little bit more. Christmas, we did a promotion, some of our community people, I don't know if y'all saw it or not, but we got to become actors for a little while, and we were in the, and I don't know what y'all call it, the television production.
Video broadcasting.
I mean, that is amazing, the opportunity that the students have. And actually, is anybody here from the University of West Georgia? No? Okay. Actually, the professor over the same production studio at the college were so impressed with what the students did that he is using their work as a model to teach students by. So, I mean, all this equipment and things that they have, it's just awesome. So you definitely have my support.
Well, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Mr. Grizzard, I apologize to you. I overlooked your city manager announcements. Okay. All right. Haley?
Item number 2 on the agenda is a rezoning and special use permit request by Soho and Brumbelow. This is for their phase 3 of the cottages on Brumbelow. The request is to rezone the property from R8, single-family residential, to RM, residential multifamily. And then there's a small sliver that's 0.09 acres, that's light industry, to RM as well. The special use permit request is to increase the allowable density from 6 units to 8.33 units per acre. The Planning Commission did review this request at their meeting last month, and they recommend approval. Also, part of that special use permit request is the allowance for the 21 detached units to be 700 square feet. Currently, our ordinance allows for 900, so it'd be a reduction. You may recognize this request because it was brought before you last year, and they're asking for you to revisit it. It's the exact same site plan and the exact same elevations that were presented before.
Okay. Thank you, Haley. Do we need them to speak to this?
I think you need to let anyone speak for and then anyone speak in opposition.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to speak for?
Good evening. I'm John Bass, the engineer working with Soho and Brumbelow on this project. I know most of y'all are familiar with it. Back in 2013, they had this land as well as an existing portion of their apartment complex rezoned. It was phase 2 and 3 for 160 beds with a stipulation that it was site plan specific. Phase 2 got developed. Phase 3 has not been developed yet. The developer wishes to go back and actually decrease the density of phase 3 to do a detached product. So there was a site plan amendment that we're now just kind of coming back to clean up the zoning. So decrease in bedroom counts, going to a less dense product for phase 3 that I think is a good transition from the townhouse style apartments on the front end back into the mill houses in the back of the property adjacent to it. So I think it's a good fit for everything, and I'm happy to answer any questions there may be.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak against this project? Okay. Hearing none, do I have a motion that we accept the rezoning request as stated?
Make a motion that we approve this as suggested by the rezoning or by the Planning Commission.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Is there any discussion?
I would like to make a comment. I was happy to meet with the developers of this project earlier last week, or this week. Is it this
Last week.
Yeah, last week. Okay, that's right. We're on a Monday now, aren't we? But last week, and get to know them a little bit more. I also was able to ride through the complex and see the quality of the construction that was done on the previous 2 phases that were built. And, I feel very comfortable dealing with this particular developer, much more so than most of the developers that we are faced with on a regular basis, because they have gone above and beyond in order to bring a quality product to Carrollton, and I just want to commend them for that.
And I'll just add to that, we take these very seriously, and we have a concern about the housing issue, especially around the student housing, offering student housing, but we really did do our homework on this one, and we spoke with our police chief and about the existing phases 1 and 2 that have been developed, and there's virtually no crime there. They don't get called out there. That doesn't seem to be a problem. And the developers there again do a great job of screening their tenants. So we have a motion and second. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. Haley?
The next request on the agenda is for an annexation rezoning of 269 and 525 Old Bremen Road. Currently, it is located in the county, and part of it is county commercial and part of it is county agriculture. They would like to rezone it and annex it into the city for M2, heavy industry, to eventually develop this area into an industrial park. The Planning Commission did review this request last month, and they did recommend approval with 2 conditions that you'll see on the screen. The first is no by right heavy industrial uses that involve excessive noise or odor can be utilized on the 269 Old Bremen Road property. This is the one that's more southern and actually fronts Old Bremen Road. And the second is a 50-foot landscaped buffer with the ability to utilize existing tree canopy shall be placed along property lines that abut a zoning district or land use that is not industrial and shall be in addition to any easements on the property.
Okay. Is there anyone here to speak for this development?
How y'all doing tonight?
We're good. How are you?
Good. I'm Joel Morris. I'm with Metro West Realty. I'm here to represent Higher Ground Properties. They are a local real estate investment group, And basically, we feel like it's been in the county for a while. The highest and best use would be to incorporate it into the existing industrial park. So if you got any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Does anybody have any questions?
You don't have any specific use?
No, not at this time. What we feel like is if we can get the best zoning on it for the highest and best use, then we're going to market it according to that zoning.
Any other questions? Okay. Okay.
And maybe this would be to Erica. I thought this was light industry. Did I miss that? At the P&Z meeting.
No, they're asking for heavy industrial, and what we did was the Planning Commission made a recommendation to not let any by right heavy industrial uses that involve basically anything that's going to be burdensome to the neighbors. So it's similar to what they did on the tract on Bankhead Highway. So we take out all those, the concrete plants and things like that, which would require special use anyway.
Okay.
So, but it will allow for manufacturing, which would require that M2 zoning designation.
Any other questions, comments? All right, thank you, Mr. Morris.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak to oppose this?
Mayor and Council. I'm Fred O'Neill, 87 Oak Mountain Trail, Carrollton, and I'm here I have a prepared statement representing First Baptist Church of Carrollton. I have in attendance with me our pastor, Dr. Woodrow Johnson, one of our members of our Board of Deacons, Mr. Sylvester Hendricks, and we were in attendance at the Mayor and Council, so let me read this prepared statement so I won't forget anything. So I'm here representing First Baptist Church of Carrollton. We're a church over 130-plus year history here in the community, serve a lot of the individuals here. We have been at that location that is contiguous to the property in question. We are actually on the northern side of the property that's being proposed for rezoning, and we've maintained that location for 17 years, serving the community. We have discussed this with our church members. We endorse the growth in our community for all the benefits that it renders, and it is our desire that we consider long-term needs of our members while advocating good community planning. And so as a result, to maintain our church structure and operation as we plan for our current uses and our generations to come, we're requesting the following as it relates to the zoning requests: a 100-foot buffer from the property line to propose rezone property, which will give us a little bit more space between what is proposed, particularly since we really are not as clear on what the final outcome of this project will become. We certainly want to see good growth in our community, even with all of the consideration that have been given. And that the second thing, that the property remains surveillance by traffic and codes enforcement, so we can maintain a safe travel environment for our members and visitors to church campus. That is a unique area out there. As we have purchased the property many years ago, there's a lot of traffic patterns that go through there. A lot of individuals are transitioning from work, whether they're in the plants or what have you. And we've had a few situations where individuals who have not observed really the speed in that area or the stop signs have created some issues for us, including demolition of one of our front gates. So again, that is our proposal at this time, our request. We want to submit this respectively at this time.
Can I ask you a question, Fred? Mm-hmm. What was the current zoning on the property when it was purchased by the church?
I want to say we have not changed the zoning on that property. That property has been that way. If my research is correct.
So had an industrial zoning when it was purchased to build. Okay.
Some years ago.
And one other thing is, where is the church located on the property that y'all own?
Right here.
If you look at the plat map that we received, we're just to the north of that, to the property's been rezoned. It's been questioned, and our actual campus does not encompass all of the property. So we're probably toward the center or left of center of where our actual facility is, but we do have existing property that extends past where the actual building is built. It's not on this plat design, which does gives us some room for expansion should we desire to do that. It's approximately another 5 acres or so. So we've actually built on about 5 acres, and we have 5 acres open for future development, and so that's what we're going to do. And we expect, you know, with this type of development, and we'd anticipate, you know, some traffic change, traffic patterns. So we're relying very heavily on the city to help us in that regard to make sure those codes are maintained, the traffic's maintained. Subsequent to that, we would have to, you know, approach the city again should we have an issue.
How far is the church presently, the campus that you have developed now, how far is that from your adjoining property line with the proposed?
Yeah, we are, our adjoining property line, we are, that property is roughly about 10 acres approximately. And our property line, we're approximately planned out for where we are on the alternative 5 acre site. So we have approximately a buffer, about 5 acres in between. However, you know, as we plan to develop going forward, that we may move that campus or extend that campus where we'd be getting closer to a lot line, depending on the use of that, whether it be a family life center or what have you. You know, we would certainly be impacted by any, you know, any matters that would make it difficult for our members, whether it's noise, what have you. Again, we want to support it. We just want to make sure that we are taken care of in that regard.
Okay. I guess one other question is, do y'all have any immediate plans to do any future development?
We at this time don't have any immediate plans, but, you know, we are, church is always planning, so we
Sure.
and praying at the same time.
Right.
So, but
It takes both, doesn't it?
but at this stage, I mean, it's to say, you know, we have a new administration, we have our new pastor here. Certainly, we have a lot of plans on deck to enhance that campus. We have used that campus for a lot of different facilities, whether it's city-related events or funerals, what have you. So it's very well used. And so as time moves on, I could anticipate us using that space. And we just want, you know, if we're making decisions today for what may happen for our generations 20 years from now, we just have to take whatever steps are necessary to make sure that we can protect and provide for that, for our property and for our members.
And one other question, then I'll open it up for anyone else. Am I correct that the standard setback for other properties of this nature is 50 feet? Is that what's typical?
Well, you have 3 choices, 3 types of buffers. You can do a 50-foot natural buffer, you can do a 20-foot landscape buffer, or you can do a 10-foot landscape buffer with a fence. Those are the 3 types of buffers when you have a more intensive use next to a less intensive use. I will state that this property has several easements already in existence that require their own distance from. So there's a 20-foot sanitary sewer easement along that northwest ridge just a little bit. This would be a 50-foot landscape buffer on top of that 20-foot easement, as well as approximately 200 feet of heavy tree canopy between the existing church, but understanding that you may have future development.
I just wanted to be clear about all that because I wasn't totally clear, you know, where everything sat on the property and, you know, what the present standard was. Thank you.
Well, we're limited in terms of what we can request, and so that felt like that was fair. So.
Anyone else would like to speak to this?
McGee. I live on 609 Old Bremen Road, and when they surveyed the land, Dean Kelly's land is just a little strip behind mine, between mine and the creek. And when they surveyed the land, and according to my deed, they surveyed onto my land. And the reason that I'm assuming this is because the survey strips, the man came onto my property, which is fenced, and put up the strips, and left my gate open and did not, but it's behind my house. It's a good way. It's the very back of my property. I didn't realize it until I went back down there. And I would like for nothing to be settled about this until, I mean, I don't want my land annexed into the city, and I'm agricultural. So I would like for nothing to be decided until I have an opportunity to figure out exactly who owns that property, which in my opinion is not Dean Talley, a trust. I mean, he does own part of the land. I'm not saying that.
Yes, ma'am.
But he does not own where they came onto my property, nor does he own where I own a strip to the creek, which they also surveyed as part of theirs. I brought my, I don't know what I've never done this, so I had no idea what I was supposed to do or bring, but I brought my
Okay.
deed. And I did try to call Tysinger, but Tommy Vance is out of town.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, and I am agricultural. And
Okay.
there are other things too around there. I mean, there's the Southward 12 for Life, which doesn't need a bunch of, I mean, there's some other, that's not industrial right there. So that also is a important concern. But mostly for me, I don't want anything decided until the property line is settled.
Okay. So, but they're not asking for your property to be annexed.
Well, they're saying their property is mine.
They're saying some of the property that she owns is in this tract.
Oh.
This is her home right here, and this is the piece that abuts that she's talking about down in here.
Right. Right. And there's a creek. You can't, which does not show up there, but shows up on my deed. And so between the creek and my property, there's a strip of land that Dean Talley owned. Just a strip, and you can see it. But part of that, when they surveyed, they're saying the part of his land is my land, or which I say is my land, which I had surveyed also. So I don't want you to annex my land into the city. That's not their land, in my opinion. Not just my opinion. I had it surveyed and a fence built.
Joel, were you aware there was a dispute about some of the property that you've asked?
Was not aware of any kind of property line dispute.
Okay.
Georgia and West did the survey for us, so all we're asking for is to rezone what was in the current survey.
Yeah, but I don't think that's right.
But Haley, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we rezone based on tax parcel ID numbers?
We do.
And so it really, we would not be annexing property belonging to her if there is a dispute about the property. It would just be the tax parcel, and that would be brought into the city, and she would not receive a tax bill because she's not the record property owner for that property.
But my point is, how do I work it out?
That's going to be between you and your neighbor, most likely, on a boundary line dispute. But property that you own would not be the subject of this annexation application.
Even though they surveyed it as theirs, and
That's
then
right.
they sent you the,
Because it's based on the tax parcel ID.
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means, but I do know what the survey, and I do know they came on my property and put up survey strips.
Thank you, Chuck.
Hey, just Pastor Woodrow Johnson, First Baptist Church. Live at 119 Danny Drive here in Carrollton. Been in Carrollton about 2.5 years and pastored there for about a little over a year now. You know, my main concern is that she was asking about, you know, future development. I mean, they had plans even before I got there for two more phases to take place there. Whether we go with the 2 phases or not, but I do foresee us in, you know, not in the far future, but in the near future of possibly trying to do some more development there. And that's just basically my concern is because if you make an M2, you know, depending on what, you know, manufacturer company, whatever comes there, which probably could maybe be there before we, you know, start our future development, how that impact would be, you know, and even though we're asking for a 100-foot buffer, she explained the 20 to 50 and all of that, but, you know, I do foresee us in the near future, you know, with some future development, you know, as a new pastor there, so. And that's just big, that's one of my big concerns. I want to make sure that development do take place in the community because, you know, that's one thing I'm big on is making sure that the city is growing and moving forward. But I don't want the church that's been there 17 years to kind of we just doing what we need to do and not kind of really take a good consideration of our comments. Yeah, and I think, you know, from going from the south, but I think even some go, I'm thinking even toward the back area end also. And, yeah.
Had my mic on earlier. I wasn't clear that that was the church
Okay.
on the left side, but I see it now.
Haley, does their property, it goes all the way down to the street, right?
Yes, it's boxed in here down Old
Okay.
Bremen Road, follows the yellow property line here,
Okay.
and goes north.
Okay.
Can I ask the city attorney a question? The stipulation that no by right heavy industrial uses that involve excessive noise or odors can be utilized on the property. If there was a problem with that, how would the church address that?
Well, where we would catch that is when whoever comes in to actually develop the property applies for a land disturbance permit or a building permit. At that point, they would obviously have to disclose to us what is the proposed use of the property. So staff at that point would not issue a permit to them if they were going to have a use that would involve excessive noise or odors. So they they would not be able to actually develop the property. That's where we would police it, if you will.
Thank you.
That's correct. That condition was only applied to this tract in the south. But I will say that out of the majority of our heavy manufacturing uses, they all require special use permits, which means that they would come back before the planning commission and before yourselves again before it could even be approved. So many of those really intensive odors or noise businesses could not go into this area without y'all's approval.
Yes, sir.
The applicant doesn't really see it necessary going 100 feet on that buffer through there, because if you see how much wood line there is existing, plus a 50-foot planted buffer is a pretty beefy buffer. Thirdly, we're in an industrial use area in and around this property. The church is in an industrial zoned property. We got industrial on the other side of the road. I don't see needing to cover up everything to shield it when this church can really outreach into this industrial area, because this is really what was planned for this portion of the city anyway. So the applicant basically sees that 100-foot unnecessary.
Is the church, I'm just curious, is the church currently in the city limits or is it in the county? It's in the city.
In the city.
So that's the boundary.
Well, you're asking for a 100-foot buffer, and you're going to have 70, looks like, a good portion of the property, plus the existing tree line.
Honestly, guys, I mean, I understand asking for an additional buffer there, but as the mayor pointed out, on part of that, you're already going to have 70 because you got a 20-foot sewer easement, and the parcel that that you would have 50. I mean, that's just the standard that everyone else, has to live with. I just don't see kind of, taking additional property away from the owner as a buffer. I just don't think it's warranted, just to be honest with you, because it's just you're going to have a road right there that's going to have road noise as close as, the 50-foot. If you get 100-foot, you're going to have more road noise than you are from a potential. Nobody's going to build right up on that buffer. I honestly just don't see the need to extend the buffer myself.
This is pretty routine. I've been on planning and zoning, and I understand where your rationale. One of the challenges in this, and this is my last comment, is you've mentioned two things. One, the tree canopy, which we could, as landowners, we could take that down any point and use it for our future use. And the other part is a good bit of uncertainty, and I know there are some conditions in here with having to come before the planning and zoning again, depending on if you have a special use. But, in this environment where we realize what our situation is, we're a church that's built within this area. And just as a result of that being built in that zoning, we recognize that there are going to be some limitations as far as what we can and cannot do. I mean, we understand that. We're just trying to think, in terms of not trying to impede Mr. Morris's efforts and what he's doing, but really trying to think in terms of how we may have to answer this 10 or 15 years from now should there be a matter that maybe that a use is done that may impede our church's ability to keep going forward. I don't think that will occur, but I still have to be careful about that representing the church. I trust the city's judgment. I think you're going to do the right thing, and I realize that it is difficult on both parties, but we just want to make sure that if I'm here appealing and petitioning on the church's behalf, that we're doing everything we can to make sure that that takes place, so that when I go back and discuss with our members, that we understand, where we are, and they're not asking for questions down the road about what we couldn't have done. So that's my final comment. Thank you all for your time.
I only got one other suggestion to you, Fred, is, these guys are in business to make money. I'm sure they'd be happy to sell y'all a little more land if y'all felt like that was something that you really needed. So that might be an opportunity for y'all to take a look at that. And then you could have kind of whatever buffer you wanted. But you know, the way it sits right now, that's just kind of, that's the only other option I can come up with for you right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, the other thing too is when this comes back, now, Haley, help me understand, when they come back for a permit for this property to build on it, you know, they have fencing and stuff now that really helps quiet the noise. Could that be something that could be at least talked about?
The developer would have to adhere to the conditions that you placed on this annexation rezoning, as well as the standards in our UDO as they stand. We could try to work with the potential developer to see if they would offer more mitigation on their property, but they would only have to be held to the standards of the conditions you place on this and the current UDO standards. But it would go through civil plan review, which is the engineering department, planning department, fire marshal, and our erosion control department, for they would be even issued an LDP. So all those departments would review it for all the different aspects for future development.
Okay.
I'm going to be quiet after this myself, which would give you another opportunity to come back when there was actually something being requested by the future development.
We can just, and that, certainly that opportunity would give us an opportunity to come back and have our input with us in our church.
Can I ask Haley a question? Haley, would it be possible to show us on your picture right there an approximate idea what the 50 feet looks like?
I don't have a measurement tool. I'm sorry. I can tell you that I previously did estimate, and this is not, this is an estimation that from the building to this property line was approximately 200 feet. So I can tell you I had measured this before, and it's through Carroll Tax, so it's not 100% accurate.
So they've got about 200 feet. Is that all woods right now?
It is, but that's also on their property. And
Right.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the zoning request that's been put before us for this particular property.
With the two conditions?
Yeah, including the two conditions that have been placed by the Planning and Zoning Board.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by raising your hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. The next item is Resolution 02-2020, Downtown Alcohol Ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor Kaysen. Back in 2012, the mayor and city council at the time amended Section 6-167 of our alcohol ordinance, which, as a general rule, prohibits the removal of alcoholic beverages from licensed establishment and the consumption of those beverages in open places. That amendment back in 2012 allowed people to take 2 drinks from a licensed establishment in the central business district, provided that they met the criteria that are set forth in terms of size limits, containers, and whatnot, and be able to walk around the downtown area with those alcoholic beverages. What we did not include back in 2012 was a time restriction. And so in theory, back then, you could have done it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In 2018, based on some reports from city staff and the police department that we were having an increasing number of alcohol-related incidents during the early morning hours, the mayor and council amended Section 6-167 to impose a time limit, which was from 2:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday, and then from 2:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on Sundays. Since that time, city staff has reported that there continue to be some alcohol-related issues on the square, again, primarily during the early morning hours. So what is before you is a resolution to amend that section one more time, and this time to have a prohibition on walking around the downtown area with open containers from 12 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., and that would be 7 days a week. The resolution also has just one clarifying language or one clarifying change with regard to the amphitheater, and to just clarify that brown bagging is permitted in the general vicinity of the amphitheater.
And I want to say, we did meet with the downtown businesses, owners, and to talk about this, talk about some of the issues, and they were very receptive to our meeting and appreciated the opportunity to have input in what we were going to do. The other part of that is we discussed maybe some other things to help crowd control downtown when the bar is shut down, and so we'll be working on that to implement those, and with our police department to get some areas marked off for people that are getting picked up by taxis or Ubers or Lyft or friends or whatever. There'll be designated areas for those people to be picked up. Okay, gentlemen, we have the ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 02-2020, the updated downtown alcohol ordinance.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries. We have some board appointments for our Carrollton Payroll Development Authority. Mr. Grizzard?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The currently the Payroll Development Authority, our appointed members are Jim Gill, Tim Warren, and Marty Smith. We are recommending that you reappoint Jim Gill and Tim Warren, and that you replace Marty Smith with Michelle Morgan, who's the current chairman of the County Commission.
Okay. Do I have a motion to reappoint and appoint these members to the Carrollton Payroll Development Authority?
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, motion carries.
Madam Mayor, I'd like just a clarification. Are you voting or not voting on these items?
I am not voting.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Grizzard, do you have any comments you want to make?
Just, I want to thank our police department for their extra attention on the square. And Dr. Albertus has left, but when I see him, I'm reminded of what a great relationship the city has with the other governmental entities, the school systems and the county. I see representatives from the library here, and so I just think we all work together very well, and it makes our jobs a lot easier, and I'm very thankful for those relationships.
And we're so excited about our new library. And we have an anticipated date of?
Well, the construction will be complete sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then there will be a time period where the library will need to move 90 pallets of boxes back in and be shelved, and offices set up and those kind of things. So I anticipate probably a soft opening of the library sometime in March. And then from there, they will schedule a spring open house, and they want to try to have good weather and invite lots of dignitaries. And I understand they've reached out to some of the state level politicians to see if they could get some of them to come down. So it'll be a good time.
Well, this is very exciting, and I haven't been on the inside, but just driving by it, I have seen through the really nice open windows how pretty it looks from the outside. So I'm really anticipating what it's going to look like on the inside. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, raise your hand. Motion carried. We're now adjourned.